It was at this time that the water was cleansed and that God promised to take care of their health problems. Let me read verse 26 to you again, because the cleansing of the water was a test for them. And then he said, if you will diligently listen, and if you will keep your eyes on me, and give ear to my commandments, and keep my statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord your healer. So this miracle of cleansing the waters is related to the Lord taking care of their health problems. Then they set out from Elim, and all the congregation of the people of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after they had departed from the land of Egypt. So again, they've been out there wandering now for about a month. They spent their first day traveling to Sukkot. Then they turned around and traveled back to Migdol and Piharoth, and they waited there for about 8 days, for a total of 10 days in the wilderness by the time that Pharaoh had reached them. And then they went to Marah and Elim, and there they have been for the rest of the month in Elim. Now they get test number 3. Exodus 16 verse 2. And the whole congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness, and the people of Israel said to them, would that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt. How many times are these people going to wish they had died in Egypt, when we sat by the meat pots and ate bread to the full? For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Oh, yes, we have very short memories, don't we? Why, it was only just a few weeks ago that you were laboring under such heavy oppression that you couldn't even find time to pray. God had to listen to you groan because you couldn't pray. And now you remember sitting by the meat pots in leisure and eating bread to the full. Oh, these people. No wonder the Lord called them stiff-necked. But the Lord is very patient, and he didn't respond to their grumbling with recriminations or impatience of his own. He simply said in the very next verse to Moses, behold, I am about to rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day, that I may test them whether they will walk in my law or not. You see, if God's going to feed you, he wants to know whether you're going to follow him without question. And I dare say that he has the right to know this. Okay, Exodus 16 verse 5. On the 6th day, when they prepare what they bring in, it will be twice as much as they gather daily. So Moses and Aaron said to the people of Israel, at evening you shall know that it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, and in the morning you shall see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against the Lord. For what are we that you grumble against us? Now you know, Moses is right. When we have a problem with a leader, it isn't really with the leader, as long as that leader is in the anointing and is following Torah. The problem is with the Lord. Verse 8, Moses said, when the Lord gives you in the evening meat to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, because the Lord has heard your grumbling, that you grumble against him, what are we? Your grumbling is not against us, but against the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, say to the whole congregation of the people of Israel, come near before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling. As soon as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the people of Israel, they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, At evening you shall eat flesh, and in the morning you will be filled with bread, and you will know that I am the Lord your God. In the evening quail came up and covered the camp, and in the morning dew lay around the camp. And when the dew had gone up, there was on the face of the wilderness a fine flake-like thing, fine as frost, on the ground. We have been taught that God gave the children of Israel manna, and that was all that they had. Now it's true that they got manna, but he also provided quail for them. Right here we just now learned that in the evening the quail came up, and in the morning there was manna. That means they had bread and meat. They had spiritual meat, and they had the daily bread, which is their relationship with the Lord. In verse 15 says, And when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, What is it? For they did not know what it was. And Moses said to them, It is bread that the Lord has given you to eat. And in fact, manna literally means, what is it? So every day, for 40 years of their lives, they ate, what is it? Now the instruction was to gather the amount that could be eaten every day, and no more than that. Of course, some people had to test this, so they gathered more than they could eat, and discovered, to their amazement, that it was stinky and had worms in it in the next morning. But the further instruction was that on the 6th day they were to gather enough for 2 days, because they were not permitted to gather manna on the Sabbath. And lo and behold, on the 7th day, the Sabbath, the manna was just as fresh that day as the day before, and there were no worms in it. Now this is a clear picture of how to keep the Sabbath. You prepare on the 6th day to enjoy what you have prepared on the 7th day, the Sabbath. Exodus 16:31 says that it was like coriander seed, white, and had the taste of wafers made with honey. Now, coriander and cilantro are the same plant, so cilantro is the Spanish name for coriander. It's a very delicate tasting green used mostly in guacamole now, but the seeds are used in curries, curry powders, pickles, soups, stews, and that kind of thing. So the taste of the manna was like a curry wafer with honey. And Moses said to Aaron, Take a pot and put an omer full of manna in it, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept for your generations. As the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. The people of Israel ate the manna 40 years till they came to a habitable land. They ate the manna till they came to the border of the land of Canaan. An omer is the 10th part of an ephah. That's probably omer is the 10th part of an ephah. They laid up 1/10, or a tithe. So from the manna they tithed to the Lord from the manna, and they kept the manna as a testimony. Now, I just bet when we find all of the things that were in the tabernacle and in the temple, that manna will be found, and it will still be in perfect condition.